Hey guys, welcome into the Stink Truth Podcast. Mark Schlereth alongside Mike Evans. Thank you so much for being a part of our day. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast, watching the podcast, for subscribing and doing all the things you do. We appreciate that immensely. Mike, how are you, my friend?
Wow. I'm so pumped to be doing this podcast right now because we got some breaking news to react to.
Yeah, breaking news just came out.
Stefon Diggs has been traded from Buffalo to the Houston Texans.
Right.
What is your immediate reaction to it?
My immediate reaction is good for Buffalo, but I'm not sure it's the right move for Houston. I think the Houston Texans are a phenomenal young team with an unbelievable energy, an unbelievable chemistry, an unbelievable culture that has been created by C.J. Stroud, their quarterback, and also DeMeco Ryans, their head coach. They are phenomenal. And I've been to, I'm at a Friday practice every Friday of the season. And I've been doing this for, 6 years, Mike. And I'm telling you, the energy at that practice, the attention to detail of that practice, the way they went after one another, and the way they actually, practice, the efficiency, the alacrity, any idiots that you want to put on there, they were great. And I worry about bringing that guy in because everywhere that guy goes, there turns out to be a problem eventually.
Eventually is the key word here. I think it's a great deal for Houston because maybe Stefon Diggs has worn out his welcome in Minnesota. Maybe he wore it out in Buffalo, but not before he played at a really high level and they won a lot of football games. If you subscribe, as I do, to the idea that he'll probably go to a new place and be on his best behavior, then you should get the best of Stefon Diggs early on, at least.
Look at who they've picked up in Houston, right? They've picked up Mixon. They've got, Tank Dell will come back from his leg injury. He was phenomenal as a rookie before he got hurt. Nico Collins was an absolute beast. Schultz, the tight end, was incredible. You've got C.J. Stroud. You have got the makings of a great young football team. Why would you bring that guy in? I go back to my time at ESPN, became buddies with Jerome Bettis. We worked together for several years. And Jerome once said something that I use to this day all the time, and I'll credit Jerome. We were just talking about, different guys and bringing guys into your locker room. And he said this to me. He goes, if everywhere you go it smells like shit, it's probably you. It's him. And the effect that those type of guys have on the young guys in a locker room can be devastating to a football team. And I don't know why this is, Mike, but this has been true throughout the entirety of my career. You can have a room full of, of a 53-man roster, you can have 50 guys that are professionals, 50 guys that do it right, 50 guys that prepare, that work hard, that take care of their bodies, that don't put themselves above the team. You can have all those things. It takes one or two guys that are turds to come into your organization, and the gravitational pull that those turds have for whatever reason is absolutely incredible. And I experienced it here in Denver when all of a sudden we got rid of Steve Atwater and brought Dale Carter in. Now, Dale Carter was a phenomenal athlete, but he had a drug issue problem. And I watched him I think he ruined a couple guys' careers that were young players, influential players that tried to run the streets with that guy. And that dude could run the streets all night long, come out and still be the best player on your football team. But those guys have this gravitational pull for whatever reason. I don't know why that is. I don't know what the theory behind that is, but I'm concerned for the Houston Texans.
Geez, I guess I'm surprised by your reaction because while maybe Stefon Diggs eventually wore out his welcome, I think you're being a little bit too harsh when it comes to Stefon Diggs. You got to look at the production in Buffalo. You're talking about 4 years in Buffalo. He averaged about 112 catches per year, about 1,200 yards per year, and 10 touchdown catches per year. And I'm sure Josh Allen would tell you that a big part of the reason why Josh Allen has become the star in the NFL that he has become and getting paid what he's getting paid is in large part because of Stefon Diggs.
Well, what I'm telling you, and I get it. Stefon Diggs is incredibly productive, and he's an unbelievable player. But I'm talking about a bunch of young, influential players that are being led by a great, C.J. Stroud is not a good quarterback. He's a great quarterback. And he's not a good man. He's a great man. And maybe he's got enough pull, but I just worry about influential young players that get taken down the wrong road.
But Josh Allen was a young, influential player. They had a lot of young, influential players in Buffalo, and they won a lot of football games in Buffalo the last few years.
And let me just ask you this: they did win. Did they win the ones that count? Did they get to a Super Bowl?
Was that Stefon Diggs' fault?
I don't know. Was it? I don't know.
I mean,
I'm just
Stefon Diggs' fault? They blew a lead with 13 seconds left to Kansas City?
I don't know. Probably not. I mean, I think that was a coaching issue. All I'm saying is that for a young, incredibly talented team that won, 10 games and went to the playoffs, to bring a guy in that has a history of wearing out his welcome. I still remember they were doing this. It wasn't a skit, but it was like this little in-house video they were making when he was with Minnesota, and they asked every guy on the team, like, hey, one guy on this team that you wouldn't let your sister date. Every one of them was just, like, without even thinking, Stefon Diggs, that turd, I'd never let him date. Like, they went off on this guy, and it got to be uncomfortable, right? But it wasn't even without equivocation or hesitation. It was Stefon Diggs 100% of the time. And listen, man, I'm not here to spread rumors or whatever, but you hear some of the stuff behind. I don't want that dude on my team. I don't care how talented a dude you are. I don't care how talented you are. If you're not about the team first, if you're not willing to put others in ahead of yourself, if you're not willing to sacrifice for your teammates, you will not, and I repeat, will not ever win a championship with those guys on your team. That's why it's so hard.
But one thing I've always heard from guys who play, and especially in football, is that as long as you have a wide enough circle, a wide enough net of good leaders, that you can absorb a couple of turds in the punch bowl, I guess, and still be okay, as long as you have enough people around those few bad apples. My question is that what you saw with Houston last year, now what they've added? Here are their offseason additions: Stefon Diggs, Donnell Hunter, Joe Mixon, Danico Autry, Jeff Okudah, C.J. Henderson, Tim Settle, Foley, Fatukasi. So with what they already have and what they did last year, boy, Houston looks to be a team on the rise.
Let me tell you, Daniil Hunter and Danico Autry. You want to talk about bookends that could flat play, and you put that with Henderson, their first round pick last year, who was phenomenal. Dude, that is an off-season haul
that I don't think Stefon Diggs is going to spoil. I really don't.
Not
in the immediate.
Let me ask you this: do you think you need him? I don't think you need him.
Well,
I think if I look at Stefon Diggs, if I look at the Houston Texans, what slowed them down wasn't their inability to throw the football and the receivers they had. They had great receivers and they had great production. What slowed them down or cost them was an inability to consistently run the football and the mixture of two backs that were two different styles. One back, what's the kid's name? Pierce. He's a downhill gap runner. And then Singletary is a more wide zone, efficient cutback runner. And so they had like two separate styles. So as a defense, when you have two different backs and you're rotating backs in, what do you know? You know, hey, on this, like if this guy's in, we're going to get double teams at the point of attack. We're going to run duo. We're going to run power. We're going to run counter. If the other guy's in, we're going to run wide zone. Why is that important? Let me just give you some football 101, okay? This is maybe like football 401. But why is that important? So I want you to play a scheme. So if I'm a wide zone team, right? And let's say I'm on the back side of a wide zone. So I'm cutting off, or even a tight zone. So we're cutting off on a tight zone play, right? The footwork I use on the backside of a tight zone is the identical footwork I'm going to use on the front side of power. So I want you to get to play tight zone 3 or 4 times, and then I want to come back and hit you with the power. And what happens is I take that inside jab step, you press hard because you don't want to get cut out of that gap. My tackle pushes you over the top, and we will you 2 gaps beyond where you're supposed to be. And now there's this huge giant hole there that we're going to run through. Well, if every time that footwork and you get that back in the backfield, you're like, oh shit, this is going to be counter. It's not going to be tight zone, so I don't have to play that tight zone. So let me play back into that block a little bit. So now you're playing the scheme. So when you have separate backs that only run certain things well, it's a tell. If you're smart, if you have a defense that has, any intelligence, which, that might be an oxymoron. Defense and intelligence. Yeah, maybe. You know what? I went on this whole great diatribe.
Yeah.
And I'm giving them way too much credit. They're dumb. Never mind.
You're just
never mind.
You're just intent to just piss people off. Now you just want to go after every defensive player in the NFL.
But what about?
Well, you asked the question. Okay, I want to get back to the question.
Right.
You said, why do they need Stefon Diggs? Because they got Tank Dell, they got Nico Collins. I don't know. To me, I see a lot of, right down to the arrival of Joe Mixon, I see a lot of what they've done in Cincinnati over the last several years. You got Joe Burrow, but that didn't stop you from Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon. Maybe they're doing the same kind of model here.
Talent. What about the flip side of that? What about the flip side? Like, hey, right here. You know what that is? Something you told me.
That's a window slamming shut.
Oh, window slamming shut in Buffalo?
Well,
is it window slam? Is it slamming shut in Buffalo?
Here you go. I just gave you the additions to Houston. Here are the substitutions from Buffalo in the last couple of months. Stefon Diggs, safety Jordan Poyer,
good player.
Cornerback Tre'Davious White,
good player.
Center Mitch Morse,
good player.
Wide receiver Gabriel Davis,
good player.
Linebacker Tyrell Dotson, linebacker Leonard Floyd.
Wow.
Is that a window slamming shut?
Wow. I tell you what, your quarterback better cover warts because you're going to have a few. I still think they're a good team. I really do. But, man, that's big time. By the way, this goes back to a theory. I'm going to give you credit, which I normally don't like to do.
Oh, this is new.
Yeah, I do normally
tell.
I do.
Can we get a close up on him here as he talks here?
I do not like to give you credit, but this is something you've drilled into my mind, and normally you don't know shit about football, but.
Hey,
this is
stumble around every once in a while.
This
get lucky.
Is actually, you have said this as you hone in on your franchise quarterback, as you hone in on an elite level quarterback, you can start spending less money on periphery players, on the receivers. Go ahead.
Well, if the idea is, and there's this reckless rush to go find the quarterback, right? You got to find the quarterback.
Right.
You have to have the quarterback. It's so important to have the quarterback, so much so that all these guys get drafted so high in the first round. Well, if you're actually lucky enough to find that quarterback and then you pay that quarterback, at that point, doesn't it become the responsibility of that quarterback to cover warts?
Yeah.
And now, after investing so much in wide receivers, as you were trying to figure out if you have the quarterback, well, to me, once you find you have that quarterback, now you don't invest as much in wide receivers. You trust the quarterback. You put that responsibility on the quarterback to go make people better than they really are.
Right.
We saw Peyton Manning do it. We saw Tom Brady do it.
Yeah.
We saw Aaron Rodgers do it. We saw Patrick Mahomes do it last year. All right, Josh Allen, it's your turn now.
Yeah.
It's your turn.
No, I think it's a great theory. And I believe, you know me, I believe in controlling line of scrimmage, running the football. And if you can do those things, you're going to be able to have some semblance of a passing game or even a dynamic passing game if you can do those things. So I'm with you on that. I think that's 100% true. And so now it's time. Hey, Josh Allen, you're going to have to figure out, hey, you haven't been able to win a championship with all that talent. Like, Are you really the guy? Because now you're going to have to win it without all that talent or developing new talent.
Well, and I'll say, are we seeing the same thing, the same message being delivered with the Chargers, with the moves that Jim Harbaugh is making?
Yeah.
Austin Eckler, gone.
See ya.
Mike Williams, gone. Keenan Allen, gone.
That's big. Yeah.
And here he was just the other day. We talked about on this podcast. He was going on and on about how much he loves offensive line play. To me, the message being sent here is simple. Justin Herbert, I'll get you some offensive linemen.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to go make the skill position guys better than they really are.
I think the other thing about that is let me help you schematically with the passing game. Meaning we're going to dominate the line of scrimmage. We're going to run the ball. Don't be mad if I hand it off 12 times in a row. What he had, that one game he had 18 handoffs in a row or something like that. Like, don't be mad because it's going to help you. And our play action game and our quick game is going to be so freaking good because we're going to be so dominant. I really think the days of Chargers charging, like you can just count on the Chargers shitting in their helmets, I think those days are going to be gone under Jim Harbaugh. I think this is one of the best hires in football because he's going to take that willy-nilly, we'll go for it on 4th down and 3 from our own 28 because we're progressive and we know the numbers and we like all that bullshit that doesn't win anything. All that's gone. You get a real football dude making football, calling football games. By the way, you mentioned Kansas City in that. You mentioned the receiving corps. I just, like, off the cuff, the Rashee Rice stuff, the drag racing stuff.
Oof.
Dude, at what point as players are you going to learn? At what point? I mean, you got the Henry Ruggs in jail. You got the situation in Washington a couple of years ago with, I think St. Juice was involved. Everett, Everett's, I think, fiance was killed in a car wreck where the guys were drag racing. I think a linebacker also that was involved in that. But at what point are we going to learn that, man, this is a bad idea?
You tell me. You tell all of the viewers because you've lived in those locker rooms, right? You just sometimes you just run across guys who just think that
are just
they're invincible, the rules don't apply, or whatever.
Right.
And they've always been those kind of guys,
right.
and they're
just young and dumb. I guess.
Young and dumb.
Yep. And we all, if not for the grace of God, there go I.
Sure.
Not that I ever had a sports car because I was too fat and I couldn't fit in one, and my knees didn't bend.
Still, you look back on
some of the stupid things we did in college and stuff.
Oh,
some like in our generation, just
dumb,
stupid.
Like, wow.
Yeah, I think back to my Idaho days. Matter of fact, I'm going to go to Idaho this weekend. I'm speaking at a fundraising deal for the University of Idaho.
From where'd you go from Spokane to Moscow? That drive that you guys took?
Yeah, Spokane, Moscow, up to Coeur d'Alene. Back in the day, there was a place called outside of Spokane called State Line. So it was right on the line between Idaho and Washington. Washington drinking age was 21. Idaho was 19. They had a big bar just called the State Line. It was right there at right in Idaho, right when you crossed into Idaho, and we did some stupid things too. So thank you, Jesus, that I'm still here.
Yep.
So anyhow, but boy, I tell you what, you just talk about so much, and these young guys just so much. That is a bad situation.
You want to get some questions? You got some good questions?
Sure.
Oh, actually, before we get to that,
yeah,
because the internet is just loaded with all kinds of rumors and speculation and conspiracy theories. Can I run one by you that I saw the other day that really got my attention?
Please do.
So we were talking on this podcast just the other day about what's going on in Dallas.
Yeah.
And how Mike McCarthy's on a 1-year deal. Mike Zimmer got hired, 1-year deal.
Right.
Dak Prescott last year of his deal. Well, connect dots here with me.
Okay.
So we know that sort of 1 year, everything's pushed in the middle for the Cowboys this year. Recently, Deion Sanders, up the road here in Boulder, said, hey, when it comes to Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, there's only a few cities they're going to play in.
Right. Yeah.
There's only a few cities they're going to play in. And
we'll pull Eli Manning.
We'll pull an Eli Manning.
Yep.
He also said prior, he said, hey, I bring in NFL guys to my staff in Boulder because I know people in the NFL. Jerry Jones, he mentioned by name. How about this one for conspiracy theory, folks? All these one-year deals for the Cowboys. Next year, Deion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders, package deal, coach, quarterback in Dallas. As far as conspiracy theories go,
dude, that is.
Come on, tell me that one isn't delicious.
That I legitimately could see that.
Right?
Because, the Dallas Cowboys, forget about winning a Super Bowl. They haven't even gone to the NFC Championship in 29 years, right? But how big has that brand been built? Can you imagine in the offseason if that went down, the ESPN would have to cancel SportsCenter and make it Cowboy Center.
They'd have to create a new channel.
They'd have to create a whole new channel. ESPN the Ocho. And all they do is talk about the Cowboys on there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it would be. And
why is it far-fetched, especially if Deion Sanders, man,
he's already manifesting it. He's already saying, hey, man, my kid is only gonna play in a couple of cities.
And if anybody is going to push and really challenge the existing power structure that exists in the NFL, can you imagine it being a guy like Deion, along with Shedeur,
along with Jerry.
And along with Jerry.
Dude, yeah, we talked about it. We had a bunch of people. We had radio stations in Dallas play it. As a matter of fact, First Take played the sound on their show from our podcast. So, Stephen A. and those guys at First Take. But I could see it. Some radio, it was some website that posted that sound and put a picture of Jerry on there. And I got to tell you, Jerry, he looked like, he's every day he looks a little bit more like Yoda. So could you imagine Jerry talking to Deion? Happy I will. The force is strong, it should do it. Yeah, I can see it happening, Mike. I can see it happening.
If you look at the wild, wild west that has become college sports and the crazy money that these college players are making, Shedeur just bought one of those Tesla Cybertrucks.
Yeah.
To go along with his Rolls.
The first one delivered in the state of Colorado, by the way.
Dude's got like 3 different cars
He's got
that
a
are
Rolls,
worth.
Mercedes, Maybach. I think the Rolls is $350 grand. The Maybach is $250 grand. This is $150, $60 grand.
College kid.
Yeah.
And you're telling me, with his dad being Deion Sanders and a guy that's already proven that he's willing to sort of go against the grain in the NFL and Jerry Jones, that couldn't happen next year?
I love.
Just plan, file it away. Just file it away. Remember where you heard it first.
Right. I love the conspiracy theory. That's actually great. Because, come on. We could all see that happening, couldn't we?
Sure. All right. We'll leave that one out there. Get some questions here for you. Some good ones from the listeners, the viewers out there. What quarterback in this year's class do you think has the it factor, Mark?
The it factor. It's a great question. It factor.
J.J. McCarthy's the one that's won biggest.
Yeah, you mean the one that's driving up the draft chart biggest type of thing?
But he's won a national championship.
Yeah. Oh, okay, one like that. Like one, W.
Yeah. W.
Yeah.
One.
W.
Sometimes the things I have to explain to you.
Yeah, well, I'm not. Hey, listen,
I know. He took a lot of hits, folks, over the years. A lot of hits. And a lot of hits to the head.
Yes, I did take a lot of hits to the head.
So that one. Which one do you think has the it factor?
The it factor. There's something about Caleb Williams that feels like he's sliding off a little bit. And I'm going to say Jaden Daniels.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because I think he can come in right away. I think you can develop a package for him while he's continuing to learn the NFL game. But I think there's an RPO, a zone read package that you can not only thrive, but you not only survive, but you can thrive with a kid that has that athletic ability, that ability to run, and the stress you put on a defense because of all the things that he brings. And then, obviously, at some point, the NFL is going to make you beat them from the pocket. But as you're developing that, you've got some other tangible skills that I think Jaden Daniels, and I've said this, I don't know that he'll be the best in this draft class, but he certainly feels like the one guy that has an instant transition ability to come in and operate, a little bit more collegiate.
But hey, make up a word. I don't
care.
care.
It doesn't matter. That's what we do here.
Yeah.
So, collegiancy.
Good.
Yes. So, but he's got that ability, very much like when John Harbaugh went with Lamar in Lamar's rookie year after Joe Flacco got hurt and said, we're going to pare this down. This is what we're going to do. It's going to be collegiate, and we're going to run this. And, as he's grown, he's gotten more and more responsibility on him. But that's how they started off. And I think you could start off with Jalen Daniels like that and have some success right away.
Let me give you another question.
Okay.
For an edge rusher, Mark, is it better to come into the NFL with great technique or great athleticism?
You know what you can teach? Technique. You know what you can't teach? Athleticism. You're either blessed or you're not. And I love the technical aspect of guys. I love your ability to counter. I love your ability to set up a pass rush. I love all those things. But let me just tell you, if you can come off the edge, you can be the first guy out of your stance, and you can turn a tight hoop. You got that kind of athletic ability. Right off the bat, you've got the makings of somebody who could be special. And I think some of the pass rush techniques, some of the counters can be learned, but you can't teach athleticism.
Well, we saw Von Miller here.
Yeah.
Von Miller, I think, is a great example. He came in with incredible athleticism and over the years really developed some of those moves to the point where he put that little pass rush summit together to get other pass rushers together.
I'm gonna give you a guy that played here for a lot of years that was phenomenal in Trevor Pryce in Denver. When he first came in as a first rounder out of Clemson, he was bad. But he had athleticism like you would not believe, Mike. Just ridiculous athleticism. And I remember we get into our bye week, whatever it was, week 9, 10, 11, whatever it was, his rookie year. And they were so pissed off at him because he wasn't dressing. So first rounder that didn't dress for us. They were so pissed off at him that they made him take one-on-ones. So we're in one-on-ones during our bye week, right? So we got the shoulder pads and helmets on. He has to go down the starting offensive line. So he has to pass rush against the left tackle, left guard, a center, right guard, right tackle. Switch. We switch. We put up the backups up. He had to go right back down the line of scrimmage again. He is exhausted, and he is getting his ass kicked. He's just getting his ass kicked. And they're just it's punishment. It's pure punishment for him at that point because he had no technique. He survived, and he became a first-round draft choice just because he was so much more gifted than anybody else. And over that time, he started to develop. He started to become a professional. He started to develop pass rush moves. And he got to the point where he was literally unblockable. You're just like, oh, God. Every time you had to line up against him, you're like, oh, here we go. You get retribution, payback for all the times you whipped his ass when he was a rookie. Then he was like, oh, I got you, So he became a great player. So the answer to that question is I'd rather have raw, ridiculous ability, and I'll teach you how to pass rush.
Another one. I think I know where you're going to go with this one, by the way. What former teammates who are not in the Hall of Fame should be?
Oh.
You want to start with that?
Yeah. This is odd that this is right here.
Yeah, this was not planned, by the way.
No.
This was
I
coincidence.
just wore this in today.
Yep.
Somebody sent me this. Somebody sent me this in the mail to the radio station. I have no idea who sent it to me. Didn't even have a note or anything. It was just this. And this is my teammate, Tommy Nalen. Tommy Nalen, there's two guys that I played with offensive line-wise that without a shadow of a doubt should be in the Hall of Fame. Joe Jacoby. Joe Jacoby was a freak show. 6'7", 305, like not an ounce of body fat on him. As a matter of fact, my rookie year, I'm starting a game in Philadelphia. This is no lie. This is a true story. I'm starting a game in Philadelphia. It's my first start in the NFL, Mike. So, I mean, I'm nervous, and I'm scared to death, but I'm playing next to Joe Jacoby. So we're in the end zone warming up. And so warm-ups, like we pair up and, okay, one-on-one run block, right? And I could run block. Like, I could come off the ball. So Joe Jacoby, 6'7", 305, had these casts, these big leather casts, had metal bars in the handle, and they made his hands stick like this, right? And then they would put this like little foam over, like tiny little foam over it. But these things were weapons. They were legitimately weapons. And so I'm lined up against Joe. He's playing defense. He give me a look, and I'm coming off the ball. Yeah, right one. Yeah, we're coming off the ball, feeling great. All right, switch it around. All right, great. Joe came off the ball and hit me. Whoa! I crumpled. I blacked out. He knocked my ass out in pregame warm-up. And so I'm staggering around. I kind of get up, and he's like, "You okay?" And I'm like, yeah. I mean, I literally blacked out. I'm seeing stars. This is pregame warm-up. We're warming up in the end zone. And he goes, "You want another?" And I go, "No." It's like, no thanks.
You're good.
Yeah.
You're ready to go.
Joe was like a 4 or 5-time Pro Bowler. He
Yeah.
played right tackle, left tackle. He played guard. He was freaking phenomenal player. As a matter of fact, Joe Jacoby came in his rookie minicamp. He was a free agent out of Louisville, I think. He came in his minicamp, and they had him playing defensive line during the whole minicamp. And so after minicamp, Joe Gibbs calls him to his office to cut him. Says, "Hey, listen, man, you're not going to make our team. Like, this is minicamp, and you do da-da-da." And Joe goes, "Well, coach," he goes, "you guys have me playing defense. I'm an offensive lineman."
Come on.
Kid you not. True story. And so they kept
They
him.
go through the whole mini camp thinking he's a defensive lineman?
Just a 2-day minicamp, 3-day minicamp, yeah. And they decide to keep him and give him a chance to play offensive line, and he becomes what should be a Hall of Fame offensive lineman in this.
What a great story.
And though the other one is my guy Tommy Nalen.
Yeah.
Now, I honestly think the only reason that Tommy Nalen isn't in the Hall of Fame, because Tommy was, unbelievable leverage player. Just unbelievable center for us, and probably 5 or 6-time Pro Bowl or whatever he was, 15 years in the league. But during that time was when teams implemented the pulling center, where the center would pull and get to the edge. So you had guys like DeMonte Dawson, guys had Kevin Mawai, you had a couple of guys, and that became the in vogue thing to do. And because you were out on the edge, everybody saw you out there running down the sideline, hitting a safety, whatever the case may be. We've seen it with Jason Kelsey, who will be a first ballot Hall of Famer, no question about it. Tommy, we didn't pull Tommy. It wasn't our scheme. And Tommy always used to joke around that he couldn't pull, but Tommy was plenty athlete to pull, trust me. But Tommy was as good, if not better, than anybody at getting to the second level and controlling linebackers. And he could slip through, he could get skinny, he could present, he'd get caught in a trap between two guys. He'd just present a narrow silhouette and get through, and he'd be up on a linebacker just smashing that guy. Played with unbelievable leverage, was one of the best players in football during that time. And Tommy Nalen, there is no question in my mind, should be in the NFL Hall of Fame. He was that good. Boston College kid, great player, just a great player. So, yes, should
Those
be in
two,
there.
Joe Jacoby, Tom Nalen.
Tom Nalen.
Well said. Hopefully somebody will pick up on this.
Yeah.
Last one. Was it tough to keep your weight on as an offensive lineman?
Yeah, for me it was work. I'm not having as much trouble now. But then, yeah, I had to work. I got recruited out of high school as a tight end and linebacker, and so.
And I've seen your high school picture, by the way. What did you weigh, like soaking wet in high school? Like 185 maybe?
Oh, no. I was 215.
Were you all right, 215.
215, 220.
But you were cut, man. I mean, this dude, before Patrick Swayze, look him up, there was Mark Schlereth in high school.
That's right. I just
stupid.
They forgot to. I should have been the first Roadhouse guy. I should have been Dalton.
Yeah.
Was it Dalton? Was it? Yeah, Dalton was the guy.
Be nice.
Right? Yeah, be nice.
So how'd you go from 215 up to like literally having to routinely carry what, 280, 285, 290?
Yeah, I played around 290. It was a full-time job. Eating was for me, it was a full-time job. But it was something that became a habit when I got into high school and again got into college. And because every year in college, I put on, about 10, 12 pounds a year. It wasn't like I went from 220, 225. When I got into college, it was about 225. It wasn't like all of a sudden I was 280. I played my freshman year, 225, 230, whatever. Then, 235 my redshirt freshman year, 245 my redshirt sophomore year, 255 my redshirt junior year, and then 265, 270 my redshirt senior year. And then when I got into the NFL, my first year, when I got drafted, I was because I was working out and I was like, I really didn't have much school. I was in school, but I was friends with all my professors. And so I was just finishing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like.
You took them out for beers.
Yes.
And that was the final.
That was my final. So.
He's not kidding.
But I did the work as far as but it was like so all I was doing really was training.
Yeah.
And getting myself ready. And I stayed this summer before my senior year at Idaho, which was a great summer, but it was a great lifting and work because a couple of us stayed there as a team, as guys, working out and stuff. So, when I got drafted, I was 280, 282, 283. And anyhow, and so then it was it was a fight my whole career to stay heavy.
There must be some good, like something that stands out that people would be like amazed by, the lengths that you had to go to keep the weight on.
Oh, just like there was just always, I've never been a big breakfast guy, right? So I was always kind of a coffee drinker in the morning. But just like every time you sat down, I just gorged myself. And I to this day, I eat super fast because if you eat super fast, your mind doesn't tell you that you're full. So you can eat more if you eat super fast. You eat like a girl when we're together. Like you're just savoring every bite. It drives me freaking nuts. I hate it. I hate it. It's like eating with my wife. Drives me absolutely insane. And then like I get done eating, like I'm done. My wife still's got 3/4 of her meal left, and then I'm like
staring at her food.
Right, and she's like,
"You're gonna eat this?"
Right. She's just like, "I hate eating with you." Like,
yeah, that's right.
The longer you get married, the less time you spend together.
So, did you have to like set an alarm in the middle of the night to eat, or did you have to like before you go to bed at midnight, make sure you have like a bowl of ice cream or something?
Yeah, I'd gorge myself at dinner or whatever, and before I went to bed, I'd make sure I ate something before I went to bed, like I eat ice cream or some, and it wasn't like it is today where you've got a nutritionist and a dietitian and all. We didn't have that stuff, right?
Right.
So you just ate, man. You just ate as much as you could.
Because you got to understand what you're describing. There were so many probably guys out there, especially, who are like, "Wow, that sounds awesome."
It's miserable.
All the guys out there who are like trying to lose weight or something like that are like, you literally, it was your job to just eat.
Right. When the first year I retired,
and that sounds great.
First year I retired, I went from 288, 290 when I retired, down to 236 in a matter of a couple of months. And I just would go, I go 3 days with I'm just going to fast for 3 days and just see what that's like. I'm just not going to eat today. Just see how that treats me. Right. And it was awesome when I first but I still fall back into the rhythms of my life, which is just eating as much as you can and just scarfing food down.
Wow.
Because, that's what I did pretty much the entirety of my adult life.
I'd be a great lineman. I'd be a great lineman.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Just a job to eat.
Right. If you didn't have to block people or hit people, or they didn't have to find a helmet to fit your head.
Exactly. If the job was you just have to
enormous.
eat as your job, man, I'd be good at that. I'd be really good. I'd be an
To
all
get
pro.
a helmet that fit you, they'd have to take out that front pad.
It's not
so
that
it would just
bad.
be plastic
It's not
on
that.
that.
Does it look that bad?
Look at the size of that thing.
It's not that bad. Jeez, you make it. You know how many people come up to me, by the way, and go, "Your head's not nearly as big as Mark makes it out to be."
Which means your head's enormous, but I make it out to be even bigger. It's like the moon. Like you got a total eclipse of the sun.
Yeah.
That's coming up.
Yeah.
You're going to be the thing that eclipses it.
All right.
It's your head.
Say good night.
All right. Good night. Hey, for everybody involved in the Stinkin' Truth podcast, we appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for making us part of your day. Thank you so much for subscribing and for sending all those messages. And I'm trying to get back to each and every one of you as much as I can. So I appreciate that. For everybody involved, we appreciate you. And thank you so much. We'll be back with you next week. Hey, for everybody involved in the Stinkin' Truth, we thank you so much. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure you don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel for more content just like this. If you want to see more of our videos, you can also be sure to check out our playlist. Let us know exactly what you think in the comments below. We appreciate you guys so much for being a part of that.
Don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date on our latest updates. Links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.